see on ESPN, you know it's meant to add a tournament to 60 teams. I don't know. Why is Charles Festival endorsement for 96 teams? I don't know. 96 teams is too much. Here's the ESPN to it.
Meaning, the big dance could be coming to some new airwaves, and when it does, the ball might be open to many more teams. Gaining steam is the prospect of an expansion from 65 to 96. It's a topic that has some wondering if the N.C.A.A. is messing too much with a good thing. ESPN's Andy Katz joins us now. How real is the idea of the tournament expanding by nearly half?
Well, let's slow down here, okay, because there's a lot of things at play here. First of all, for any kind of expansion, or even for any kind of new broadcast partner, it's not just a one-person decision. Greg Shaheen, who's the vice president of the N.C.A.A., he's leading the charge, but the conference commissioners have to weigh in, the selection committee has to weigh in, the N.C.A.A. board of directors has to weigh in. So there's a whole number of steps that this process has to go through before any kind of decision is made. Secondly, what has occurred is there are 3 years left on CBS's contract, and the N.C.A.A. has the right to opt out, and at this point has the right to sort of investigate. And what they have done is they've thrown it out to CBS, which potentially could partner with Turner. They've thrown it out to a possible NBC-Comcast merger, to Fox, and of course to us at ESPN, to see what can you come up with. What would you be interested in? You know, if you were to get these rights, would you want to keep it at 65? Would you go to 68? Would you go to 72? Would you go to 96? All these things are in play, and they want to look at all these things before they decide to potentially end the current deal and sign a long-term deal. And the last thing I'll say on this, part of your question, is that there's really two things at play here. The N.C.A.A. would like a long-term deal for security, but I can tell you that I know a number of the conference commissioners like the fact that they know the kind of money they're going to be getting from CBS over the next 3 years, and then let's see what happens in 2 years when it would be renegotiated to see how the economy is.
Andy, in terms of a possibility of expansion, why would you mess with a good thing?
I don't think, well, I wouldn't, and if anything, maybe you go to 68, although I would tweak it and have 4 opening round games that involve bubble teams. Now, that's an unpopular decision in the Power 6 leagues. They want more spots, not less, although I'd love to see that, let's say the 4 opening round games were, for the, let's say, 11 or 12 seeds, play those into the field. But if that were to occur, the 4 opening round games for 68, you're basically taking the lowest automatic berths and having them play off to be all 16s to play the ones. Look, the reason they're even looking at this is to make more money and to see if there's a richer product out there if they were to expand the field. The problem with that is twofold. One, if you do that, you do dilute the regular season and all the contracts that these conferences have with their various television partners, including us. And then two, you also basically crush the conference tournaments. In the ACC, the Big East, the Big Ten, the SEC, they would all become meaningless if all these teams are coming into the field. And that's why I really would question that any kind of Power 6 conference commissioner would go along with this.
Yeah, 7 of the Big Ten teams were in the tournament last year. That's 7 of the 11 were into the tournament last year. Who knows at 96 how many from a single conference would end up going. How about Big Ten Commissioner here, Jim Delaney? He's been an outspoken critic of the idea of expansion. He's not alone in suggesting that this topic needs to be openly debated. He's using those words, Andy. Why are officials discussing this, not being more transparent about all of this?
Well, I can tell you that the N.C.A.A. usually does, there's no secret here, that usually when any kind of negotiation, they're going to keep things close to the vest. They do that with any kind of investigation to protect that. So what I would read into that is that Jim Delaney wanted the conference commissioners to be much more involved in any kind of discussion with whether that's ESPN, NBC, Comcast, if that deal goes through, Fox, CBS, Turner.
Fox!
Be in play with all this. The problem with the N.C.A.A. is that, do they check in with all the commissioners, then the selection committee? There's just so many hands in this pot here that it's going to be difficult for them to really keep everyone informed at every stage. But clearly, that's what Jim Delaney wants.
And this leads us back to the television contract, which you've alluded to a number of times here. More games equals more advertising revenue. So if the NCAA opts out of its current deal and puts this in play for all these networks, in your mind, does that signify that they intend to change the format?
I would say yes. They're not hand in hand, but I would find it hard to believe that if they opted out of the CBS deal, the current deal, that it would change in some way in 2011. I just don't think that they, otherwise, why not keep all the money you know you're going to get over the next 3 years, you keep the status quo, and then really investigate what options you want to expand to, if any, when the new deal would come up in 2013.
ESPN's Andy Katz on the discussion of expanding the NCAA tournament to potentially 96 teams. Thank you, Andy.
Whoa, 96 teams? That's 2 bus teams. That's just like that's like Olympics, like the Olympics basketball. It don't span triple their teams. What is going on with the N.C.A.A. tournament? I don't know. Who's doing remarried in this investigation? I don't know. We'll find out for the next 3 years.